Did you answer?
I already answered.
You already answered. Okay. Yeah, we have one question from the audience.
All right, Dan, this question's for you. You talked about your favor of Commissioner Reed's plans to move UMC to a teaching hospital. Is that true? Are you in favor of Mr. Reed making UMC a teaching hospital?
I don't know if I would agree with all of the details, but I think it's no longer solvent as a county hospital.
Do you know if he makes it a teaching hospital, the responsibility moves to the state?
What do you mean in terms of the unfunded federal mandate?
Everything. Funding, likewise, taking care of illegal aliens and so forth, it all falls under state then. Why would you want to advocate for something like that and take responsibility away from the county when the county's failed to do their job and you take it upon your comrades in the state assembly? Is that fair?
Well, I guess I can come at it a couple of ways. First of all, I think it's going to draw a lot higher quality doctors and higher quality research having the teaching side of things. I think that's a plus, separate from the funding. If you want to look at it one way, you know, the county, because of that unfunded mandate, the county has had to affect things like the property tax and all that to make that up. The state may be better equipped with larger revenue streams. Obviously, you know, we're going to be facing a $3 billion deficit in 2011. It's going to fall on the county or it's going to fall on the state. I mean, do I want the state to have to do it? No. Do I want the county to have to do it? No. But we're stuck with this unfunded federal mandate. And heretofore, the county government has been unable to balance it.
Okay, I can see that standpoint, but just remember that since the UMC's failed under the county commissioners, the best thing to do is just turn it over to private industry. And since you're a Republican, you ought to be voicing that type of concept. We should not take UMC, take it to the state level, and take all those millions of dollars and unfunded mandates and so forth, and taking care of illegal immigration when we can turn it over to private industry and let them handle it, let them get the better doctors, let them get the better staff, take it away from us entirely.
Well, I think if there was a plan to make it a completely private hospital that would in the same way boost the notoriety of the university and the research at the hospital, I think without world-class education here, we're simply never going to hit to the point where we have businesses coming here. We've had low taxes for 50 years, but we're still a one-horse economy. There needs to be something else that only happens by sheer force of will. I would be 100% on board with a completely private hospital if all of the guarantees of good doctors, good research, and good medical education were there. I certainly wouldn't exclude it.
Mike Murray, one of the things that concerns me is, according to the controller of the state, as of December 08, the state received 1/3 of its funding from the federal government. Now, that's as bankrupt a proposition as it can possibly be, and yet the legislature is not addressing the fact that the federal government has no money. You know, $500 million a day in simple interest trying to pay off the debt we already have is beyond ridiculous. Speak a little bit about the debt, and speak a little bit about the fact that we're so dependent on the feds for money. It's a bludgeon they use to beat us into shape and make them do what they want. I'd like to hear you talk about that.
Sure. This is Dan Hill. A lot of that funding, I mean, you were going all the way towards including highway funding and all of that sort of thing.
Oh, education, whatever.
Sure. I think in some ways that might be a bell that can't be unrung after that 60 years or however long we've been dependent on that. I don't know how, you know, if we'd have to look at some radical proposals such as toll roads or things like that in order to try to wean ourselves off of those federal dollars. Certainly we'd want them to be as low as possible. We didn't tap into a line of credit and borrow money from the federal government in the special session, which was really good. We certainly don't want to do that. But it should definitely be as low as possible. I mean, roads, education. I know the legislature in 2011 is going to be looking at getting raised to the top federal dollars for education. It sounds like a good idea. There are going to be ties with it, or there are going to be fine print, things like that. When you look at per pupil funding does not determine the quality of education. I mean, it would be, I don't think any state government would turn down $100 million from the government. Would it be principled to accept that money given the debt and the demand for fiscal responsibility? There's certainly to be a debate about that, but when you have, I think that's the biggest federal dollar I would support would be the Race to the Top funds, as long as there was some safeguard to make sure that it wasn't thrown away, as so much money in the Clark County School District and other school districts statewide have been thrown away. So taking money from the government definitely, I think it's going to have to get more difficult as the debt is coming, as the debt is getting higher and higher. But there are certain things that the state of Nevada simply just couldn't do without it.
Hi, this is Erin Lale. Well, again, I agree with most of what Dan said, but I differ with him on one point, and that is the federal education dollars. I don't believe that education is any of the federal government's business, and if we want to do what's the best for the children of Nevada, we should institute school choice. And if the federal government doesn't like it, too bad. Thank you.
So none of our panel members have any other questions. None of our audience has any other questions, but we do have about 20 more minutes, and I love my directed questions. So I'm going to ask one last one, if that's okay with you guys. Now, tourism is the cornerstone of the state. County, city, everybody agrees, nobody can deny it. But the state of California has, the government of California has failed their populace. Now, Silicon Valley is right next door, and we have an opportunity to incentivize them. How would you go about incentivizing Silicon Valley to move to Vegas?
Hi, this is Erin.
Or Reno, I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Erin Lale. Well, in my opinion, the best way to get private enterprise of any type, high technology, manufacturing, call centers, anything, to move here is to maintain a business-friendly environment with a low regulation and low tax environment. Thank you.
This is Dan Hill. I think first and foremost, and unfortunately it's an intangible, without good education, no high-tech job is going to come to Nevada. I mean, that's the simple fact. We've had a business, we're the only business-friendly Southwest state, and we're the fourth most business-friendly state in the country, and we still have practically no high-tech jobs. So I don't think just low taxes is going to be enough to get them to come here, though it is certainly an 100% necessary element. That being said, I think some things, maybe the previous payroll tax rate for new high-tech jobs that come here and hire 50 or more Nevadans, certain things like that you could look at to incentivize not only coming here, but hiring Nevadans and also keeping the income in the state of Nevada and not having companies from outside of the state taking the money. So those, I think, are the two big things that are going to bring new jobs to Nevada. Low taxes is great, but without a world-class education system, it's just not going to happen.
Okay, so questions complete, remarks complete? Sound good? All right, so we will be back. We are done with, finally done with District 29. Thank you for coming out. And we will be